Looks like Rob McClung's the first one onto the track. He is a Canadian driver out of Ontario, Canada, sponsored by Gabe's Auto Aftermarket and Tiny's Auto Repair. 11:04 is the next one to be coming on. That's Tony Long out of Richwood, sponsored by Kirby's Auto Parts. 12E, Eric Blom out of Mid-Vid, Michigan. The number 17, Paul Sweat at Lodi, Wisconsin. Following him, the number 79, Barry Clemens out of Dane, Wisconsin. A 3607. Kyle Speck out of 7X. Zach Campbell snuck on. The AK-47, Sean McClune out of Nicholsville, Kentucky. The 57D was the next one on. That was Donnie Scheich out of Rick Falls, Illinois. The 504, Zach Burton out of Wrigley, Kentucky. The number 34, Brent Clemens out of Lodi, Wisconsin. The number 458, Tony Lambert out of Jefferson, Ohio. Here comes the number 11. That's Stephen Neese out of Ottawa. Following him is the number 08. That's Tony Penwell out of Washington Courthouse. The 269 sneaking in, Jim Hildebrand out of Urbana. The 00, Josh Henry out of St. Paris. The 27R, Richard Robinson out of Gallatin, Tennessee. The 787, Sean Pryor out of Washington Courthouse. The 109, David Diver out of Canfield, Ohio. Here comes the number 286, Brian Schumann out of Carrollton. And the 777, I had the 777 on my heat sheet from the last one, but I don't have him over here on heat number 3. 590, Rick Voss out of Rockfall, Illinois. The number 42Z, Jake Zimke out of Rockville, Illinois. And here comes the 52Z, John Zimke, also out of Rock Falls, Illinois. Dixon, Illinois. Nope, there's the 82 right there. I'm still missing the 777 is the one I don't have any information on. Three, two, one, let them go. And the action's now underway here in heat number 3 of the Smash It, Crash It, Tear 'em Up Automobile Demolition Derby. Richard Hilton out of Hamilton, Ohio. The one that was supposed to be in the last one. The AK-47 out of Nicholsville, Kentucky. Coming here in front of the grandstand right now, making contact with the 787. Again, the 454 being driven today by Ron McClung out of Ontario, Canada. Had quite a long run. There's the 886. I guess that's the 888. the top. But I think they've got that one taken care of. The number 269, Jim Hildebrand out of Urbana. And he's kind of mixing it up with the number 17 of Paul out of Lodi, Wisconsin. Looks like his wife's paycheck was the sponsor of this automobile tonight. They are packing him in, and doggone it, the number 52 taking himself out of 10. Right now, I guess that's taking number. Yes, that's John Zimke out of Illinois. He's in the 52Z. He's down in the out, and it looks like they are folding up the metal up on the high side of the track. Now, I don't think that's what the 458 wanted to quite do on that particular time, but Tony Lambert out of Jefferson, Ohio, not probably finding himself in the best of some predicaments right now. My goodness gracious, they got them stacked and packed right in the middle of the track. That's a lot of cars for this particular track. But they still got a little bit of running room, and I believe so far the only ones that we have that are counted out is going to be the number 52Z. Number 590 still running strong. Brick Falls out of Rock Falls, Illinois, sponsored by Boss Roofing. There goes the 458. 458 of Tony Lambert. Oh my goodness gracious. Our Canadian friend had one wild ride at the rear of the 454. Up in the air. He took one heck of a wild ride. Courtesy of the number 787. Sean Pryor out of Washington Courthouse. And look at the way all these vehicles have gotten packed in there. My goodness, it looks like a rush hour in a big city. The guys are going down through there. Wow. They've got them packed in here tighter than can be. But slowly but surely looks like they're starting to meander their way out through there. Right track central is going to be the number 34. That's Rick Clemens out of Lodi, Wisconsin. 79 running all right. Barry Clemens out of Dane, Wisconsin. That's quite a long run for these guys to come out here, I can tell you. Especially dragging one of these slightly used automobiles home. Going to have a nice long ride tonight. Back up north to the land of cheese curds. All things good. 454, doggone it, there goes Ron McClung. Blue automobile from Ontario, Canada, taking himself out of contention, holding the flag down. So we've got one less of them, and they're running right now in the 57D, having another wild ride. That's Rock Falls, Illinois. Coming down and enjoying life. 787, he's got that vehicle wedge. Sean Pryor out of Washington Courthouse. Strong running automobile. The only problem is with the wedge under the back of it. Does kind of act like a ramp. Tend to get these vehicles almost to the point that they're flipping over. And that could be big trouble on down. But so far so good. We'd like to see everybody keeping all four of their wheels very well secured on the ground. Kyle Speck out of Marion is in that 3607, making his way around the infield side of the Seems to be running pretty well. Brian Schumann out of Carrollton, Ohio. Sponsored by a mangled metal. Right now he's side by side with the number 71. 7X. Zach Campbell out of Crestline, Kentucky, I believe. Kind of hard to read. Yep, that's definitely 7X. Excuse me, he's here out of Crestline, Ohio. Looks like we're having some serious problems with the 8888. Joe Crow. Grove, Canada. So there's our second Canadian driver. We have not only gone from state to state, but we've gone international here, having other countries come in and compete in this. These drivers, fantastic thing to see. And again, really appreciate everybody coming out here and participating in stop number 1 of the Smash It Demolition Derby for the 2010 season. A lot of smoke and steam coming off that 8888. The 1104 is still running pretty slow over there. Looks like he's got some serious issues, and I think what's going on, in fact, the tire quite possibly went flat. Best he can keep going. Tony Long, I believe. Yes, it is. Tony out of Richmond, Ohio. Sponsored by Kirby's Auto Parts. Things not looking real well for the number 82. I believe that is his tire that's off. Laying right next to the vehicle. Can't quite tell. Hopefully it doesn't have an accident with that brake bar. They are just cracking the seal into 57D. And I think that's the definition of the Malachi Crunch, ladies and gentlemen. The 12E of Eric Bloom and the 109 certainly had one heck of a crunch on top of the number 82, and they really put the squeeze play on that. Right now, it looks like it's pretty evident as we got a lot of liquids coming out from the bottom. 7X is going to be the next on his target, and Zach Campbell just took a hit from the 109, which is David Diver out of Canfield, Ohio. Looks like we definitely got a bit of a warm vehicle going on. Look at the steam bath inside of the number 5 at 9-0. That's Rick Falls out of Boss Roofing. They're all the way from Rock Falls, Illinois, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the only problem is still got a lot of vehicles left to go. My goodness, the 57D. That's Donnie Schick out of Rock Falls, Illinois. Looks like the whole passenger side of his vehicle pretty much imploded on that last hit. Down at the far end, over on the main grandstand side, the number 34, Brett Clemens out of Lodi, Wisconsin, making his way back and forth. Right now, he's currently nosed in to the number 5 and 9-0 of Rick Falls out of Rock Falls, Illinois. Eric Blom's in the 12E out of Mid-Vid, Michigan. Making contact with the 17 of Paul Sweat out of Lodi, Wisconsin. He's trying to punch his way out. The only problem is Tony Long in the 1104 is standing in the way. And in front of Tony is that number 11, which he's trying to meander around. But Stephen Neese out of Ottawa, Ohio, kind of passageway through that. And the 88-88. Joe Crow has taken one heck of a hit in the side as he comes down through there. That's going to be the number 7X, Zach Campbell out of Crestline, Ohio. And my goodness gracious, these guys are packing them in pretty hard and heavy. Number 11 running strong, trying to pull his way out of the corner. Looks like he may be currently hung up on the number 209. I think they got their front bumpers locked, and they're doing the best that they can to try to get those two unwed from one another. We'll see how that plays out as time goes on. The 109 of David Diver out of Canfield, Ohio. He's working over there with the number 79, trying to get at one another. Barry Clems out of Dane, Wisconsin. Only problem is they do have a white wagon. I believe that. Nope, that was a white sedan of the 3607 of Kyle Smith right in the middle of it. But surely things are wrapping up here. We're going to get down to the 6 vehicles that we have take to the feature event at this point in time, the 590. Trying to punch his way through. That's Brick Ball side by side with the 79 at this particular snapshot in time. That's Barry Clemens out of Dane, Wisconsin, sponsored by Clemens Demolition. Looks like time ran out on a couple of other vehicles. He's keeping a very close eye. Again, we do have a lot of money on the line tonight. Hold him up, hold him up, hold him up, hold him up, hold him up. Hold him up, drivers, hold him up. No, there was one. A few people came out and Now we're looking down at the other end, and number 17, Paul Sweat. Still running in that 17. He's nosed into the 11.04 of Tony Long out of Ridgewood. And I think they just woke up to number 590. The Brick Ball shoved his foot in the carburetor of his black Chariot. And really one heck of a good hit on the 3607 of Kyle Speck out of Marion. See, Kyle's got a little bit of alignment issues with the front driver's tire of that 3607. He's managed to keep moving back and forth, and that's the main part of the game. We had a vehicle in the last heat, sort of had the same trouble, took a pretty good shot and actually got his tire flipped up. Was able to run the rest of the heat without too much technical difficulty, which was quite a good thing for him. Looks like the 109 David Divers machine. He's here out of Campfield, currently backed up to Brent Clemens in the number 34 out of Lodi, Wisconsin. Michigan. And a long line of vehicles down there at the end of the track. Butted up next to the number 17. still running along with the 269 of Jim Hildebrand out of Urbana. Jim coming back to make contact. Final check into number 3607. 787. Fairly strong. Main thing is he's moving that Sean Pryor out of Washington Courthouse. Get that machine jockeying around. I believe that's 00 Josh Henry out of St. Paris, Ohio. Down here, contact and mixing it up with the 109. The only problem is, looks like he's really starting to get a little bit warm under the hood. He's got a lot of steam belching out from underneath the 00. But the main name of the game is to keep your tires moving and keep making contact. And that's exactly what Josh Henry is doing right at this moment. Schumann and the number 286. He's going to go down there to make the contact with Josh Henry's 00. Following him real close is going to be the 109. Got their way out, trying to get down to the far end of the track. Still have a lot of vehicles left running. A lot of them still battling it out for the last 6 to go on to the feature event. Again, the feature tonight. A lot of money on the line. $11,000 to be exact. 11,000 first place winner. Again, you still have time to get your raffle ticket. If you'd like to get in on that and have a chance to drive that white Smash It car in the feature event. It's all set. Lady Luck's on your side. That's all it's going to take. And the good thing is, as I stated earlier, the Smash It car is a fresh car that's going to go straight to the feature. All these other vehicles that are going to be running for it have been ran in at least one heat. And as you can see, these heats have really been taking quite a toll on these automobiles, especially cars the likes of the number 57D, who really show a lot of wear and tear, who have been out of it for quite some time now. It's been a rough way to go. A lot of other strong running vehicles left, but I'll tell you what, they've really been weeding them out. Hot and heavy. Tony Long in the 1104 spinning around, going parallel down the track with the number 12E of Eric Blom out of Mid-Vid, Michigan. Flipping around and mix it up down there. That's 7X. Also working that end of the track. Tony Long and Zach Campbell in the 7X. Looks like they're momentarily hooked up at this particular moment in time. Zero. Josh Henry still belching out quite a bit of steam underneath the hood of that 00. Still got her moving. Momentarily stalling out. 79 doing the same thing. But got the 79 going. Barry Clemens out of Dane, Wisconsin. Got her going once again. Making his way down to track center. 787, Sean Pryor out of Washington Courthouse. The end of the track, he's side by side. I can't quite make out the number on that other automobile, I believe. Can't quite tell. It's on like a bunch of fancy stickers, which have since wiped off. It looked pretty good coming onto the track earlier on. You can see as these guys get out there and start taking care of business. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. And that's not looking real good for the 3607. Kyle Speck has just lost the rim and tire on the passenger side of his automobile. You can see him sitting a little bit sideways, and it doesn't look like his other drive tires do well. Front driver's side steer tire is all flopped over, and it's laying down flat on the ground. So the 3607, things definitely went from bad to worse. And not looking like it's getting too much better anytime soon. But Kyle Speck doing the best that he can as he moves 17 on down the track. John Pryor in the 787 kind of putting his foot into it, showing that he's still got a lot of engine left as he noses into the side of David Diver's 109. Right there, it looks like he's two having a little bit of a conversation, hopefully chit-chatting it up. Asking one another if they like the weather, and what do you know, the number 17 of Paul Sweat out of Lodi, Wisconsin goes nose to number 590 of the Brick Ball out of Rock Falls. And there come some horses down the track. They come with the 787. Sean Pryor out of Washington Courthouse knows it into the side of the 109 of David Diver out of Canfield, Ohio. Down at the other end, the 1104. That's Tony Long. He's side by side once again with the 12E of Eric Long out of City, Michigan. And I'm sure I'm tearing that name up, and I certainly apologize. Hildebrand out of Urbana, still running strong. He's over down at the corner at this particular moment. Looks like he's going to be lining up on Tony Long in the 1104. Just before that happened, the 12E of Eric Blom popped into the picture. Looks like Jim Hildebrand's going to be turning his sights over to the 12E at this particular moment in time. That's 82. Yet another brick ball. Dixon, Illinois. And that's not sounding too good for the two vehicles we have at Track Central. But a little help from some friends. I believe the 12E may have gotten dislodged. Or the 12E. Green flags are flying, so let's turn them loose and let them go. Get them back underway here and keep running them down to the final 6. The final 6 are going into the big money feature event round. At that last juncture, it looks like we did have quite a few vehicles that got abandoned by their drivers. So I'm trying to figure out, I definitely see some movement out of 7, possibly 8 cars, so we still have a lot of them left to go. But things are looking better and better, and it sounded like there was somebody's flat tire. I believe that was a 12E, Eric Blom. Just punctured a tire on the rear of his machine. In front of him is Tony Long in the 1104. 79 going around the way. That was Barry Clemens out of Dane, Wisconsin. Number 34 is putting the hammer down right now. He's got a lot of running room, and he's utilizing every bit of it that he can. That's Brent Clemens out of Lodi, Wisconsin. Can't quite tell what vehicle he's got in there, but he's really packing him into the corner of the 269. Jim Hildebrand looks like he's chugging out the black smoke. But he's got her back fired up. Jim Hildebrand is down at the opposite end of the track and moving right along. I believe that must have been Sean Pryor in the 787 who was getting packed in there pretty well. He had to get a little bit of running room, and he's got it, still being chased down right now by Brent Clemens in the number 34 as these two go back to back. Paul Sweat out of Lodi, Wisconsin. He's right at track center, right next to the number 286. 286 is Brian Schumann out of Carrollton, Ohio. Two guys running around. Looks like a little bit of a ring around the rosy game. The 787 of Sean Pryor out of Washington Courthouse is the last one to check into it. He's being chased by the 79 of Barry Clemens. Over on the front side is the 269 of Jim Hildebrand, who once again has stopped out, trying to refire his machine. Looks like he's going to get a shot in the door from the number 79. Looks to me from this angle it's a little bit behind the driver's door. Look like on Jim's angle there. The 79 came in pretty quick. That was Barry Clemens out of Dane, Wisconsin. The 1104 of Tony Long down at the other end of the track. These guys trying to bust a hole through there to get both sides able to have a clear path between one another. Looks like we got about 4 vehicles moving on the one side and 5 vehicles over on the other. 9 of them left going. 6 going into the feature event. So 3 vehicles left to be disqualified and moved on. The top 6 will move on into the big money round. Eric Blom out of Mid-Vid. Look at that 34 go. Brent Clemens out of Lodi, Wisconsin. Had to hammer down as he punched his way into the action. Like he wants a little bit of this to keep on moving right along. Can't quite tell. Keeping a close eye on things over here because I saw the red flag of flying, but it looks like the driver's got everything taken care of. They're under control. Barry Clemens still running strong as he goes in there with his eyes set on Sean Pryor to 787. Sean throwing her in gear and going up after the number 34, Brent Clemens. up, hold him up, hold him up, hold him up. Here we got the number 79. I can see that one. He's moving on to the feature event. Barry Clemens out of Dane, Wisconsin is at the 787. 787. Sean Pryor out of Washington Courthouse. Over on the other side, I see the checkered flag going to the number 34 of Brent Clemens out of Lodi, Wisconsin. Going down to the far end right now. We've still got a few more, so drivers, please hold them up until we get everybody situated. I got Tony Long in the 1104 out of Richwood. He's moving on. Is that the 12? The 12E is moving on. Eric Blom out of Mid-Vid, Michigan, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And I've got 5 so far. Still waiting on the next one.
And the 330 Skip Brown out of Lancaster rounds out the 10 vehicles that we have signed up. Looks like we have 10 on the track. Okay, it looks like we need to get this into the track. Stand up, we need a skid steer over here if possible. We can get the track closed up. 3, 2, 1, roll! Get the action over here. Balance between 62 and number 62. So again, our Ken Griffith out of Hamilton is going to be the first place finisher. He will receive money tonight. And that was all gone through in the driver's seat. On the side or the top. 62 looks like he's got a little bit of flash in the rear of his vehicle. There's a fiddle out of a fan trying to get the 62 turned around. He's not able to get her turned quite right. I think that's quite a bit of rock in her clothes. And there goes the 62 down back to back. Number is Cody Biddle, and the 63 is Mike Frederick out of Muncie, Indiana. And hold on here. Oh, look at there he comes yet once again, and I believe there it is. There's your winner, ladies and gentlemen. And number 63 is going to go away with the first place finish. Number 63, Mike Frederick out of Muncie, Indiana, is going to go away with the $500 first place prize. Second place is going to be the 062 of Cody Biddle out of Urbana. Again, second place today is going to pay $200. And finally, $100. And the third place finish is going to go to $383 in Brett out of Hamilton.
The J1, Josh Cohen out of Nelsonville, Ohio. He's one of the favorites down there the Athens way. The number 98, Kenny Klaus Jr. out of Millfield. Coming on the tracks, the 038. That's Tim Bielacki out of Woodstock, Ohio. Following him is the 11X Anthony Long out of Raymond, sponsored by Kirby's. The number M1 Sam Payton out of Asheville, Ohio. The number 43 Jason Collins out of Hicksville. Here comes the 11X Tony Miller out of Gloucester. The number 4X Troy Hayden out of Chrisney, Indiana. Number 24X Robert Hayden out of Boonville, Indiana. Here comes the number 59X Dave Sprague out of Buckland, Ohio. The 1226 Chad M. Dunlap out of Maryville, Ohio. There goes the number 71T Tyler Strain out of Mount Gilead. The 0364 Junior Mull out of Lewisburg. The number 327 Carter Smith out of Patriot. The 17G, that's Terry Gilkey out of Athens. The number 47 Donnie Rutherford out of Hamilton. The 4B Brian Gould out of Guysville. The number 615 Troy Snyder out of Marion. Only one I didn't catch, that was Casey Metzger in the number 10 that was over, I believe, due to the wheelbase issue that went in with the mini trucks. So we'll scratch the number 10 off our list, and we're going to run with what we have on the track. Okay, looks like the track is secure. The drivers are ready, the referees are ready, so let's give them a countdown, starting with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let them go, and the action's now underway here in the mini car event. And mini cars, the buzz bombs as I like to call it, as you can tell from the slightly different sound that they make. Got the 11X already on the move. That's Tony Miller out of Gloucester, and this is open and wide up. The number 615 taking a pretty good hit. That was Troy Snyder out of Marion. And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, these little cars may be small, but they are definitely mighty because they have a lot of hitting potential. Other thing they have to worry about is there's just not as much metal around the driver to protect him from all this. As you can see that, my goodness gracious, as small as these vehicles are, they definitely have a lot of room that they can get driving and running. Right now, Josh Cohen in the J1 coming down there. I don't think that's where he wants to be. But Chad Dunlap is up there with that 12:26. I don't think he's having too good of a day. Now, the mini cars tonight are going to be paying $800 to win, $200 for second, and $50 for third. So a lot of money on the line tonight. The 11X still running strong. Anthony Long. He's going to go down there, and everybody kind of split the difference and got out of his way. With that Kirby Autos Special making its way down the track at blistering speed. The 038 running very strong as he comes back down the track. That's Tim Bielacki out of Woodsfield in that bright yellow wagon that's now down at the far end of the track. Track central to 615. Troy Snyder's back into the number 59X. That's Dwayne Sprague out of Buckland. Here comes the number 47 bucking down the track. That's Donnie Rutherford. And doggone it, looks like time has expired for the 12:26. The M1 Sam Payton out of Asheville, sponsored by Spanky's Rod Shop. He's nose to nose with the number 43 of Jason Collins out of Hicksville, Ohio. Sam Payton right now mixing it up with the 11X of Anthony Long out of Raymond. Well, that was kind of a fancy sachet in the 615 as Troy Snyder spun that thing around pretty quick. Right now the 4B definitely moving quickly. That's Brian Gould out of Guysville. And watching Mr. Gould head down the track to finally make some contact. The 327 Carter Smith out of Patriot. Sponsored by the South End Bad Boys. Right now has a lot of room to check things out, see which way he's going to go. He's currently into the side of that 11. Number 47 just popped off the front wheel. He's got some problems. That's Johnny Rutherford out of Hamilton, Ohio. 4B Brian. 4B Brian Gould out of Guysville. Himself. J1 Josh Cohen out of Nelsonville in that bright red automobile. I think Josh is hoping that he probably didn't do what he just did, because right now he's kind of hung up on the side of the 038 of Tim Bielacki out of Woodstock. And look at him buzzing down the track. That was number 4B, Brian Gould out of Guysville. Things still not looking too good for Josh Cohen in the J1. Doggone it, to 43. That's Jason Collins out of Hicksville, sponsored by Collins Service Center. And here comes Sammy Payton in a big cloud of steam and smoke on the M1 machine. The M1 again, Sammy Payton out of Asheville. Coming down through there to almost track central. He's pretty easy to follow. The 11X going on down. That's Tony Miller out of Gloucester. Again, we are going to be paying 3 spots. Third place in the minis is going to pay $50. Second place $200, and first place is $800, which isn't too daggone shabby. Looks like Kenneth Klaus Jr. is still running strong with the number 98 over there. I believe that's that lime green machine. I can finally watch him. The lighting isn't quite the greatest. It is a little hard to make out some of these numbers sometimes. Thank goodness they have those numbers up on top, because that definitely is a big help when these drivers get their numbers up on top. We could see those for quite some time out through there. And doggone it, there goes Josh Cohen hopping out of his machine. The 4B swinging around. And that's Brian Gould running up the long road on the far side of the track from the... Oh, my goodness. Gonna have to stop her there. Go get the action back underway, and that it is. I got 4 vehicles moving down on this end, and I believe 4 more down at the other end. So 8 vehicles now going to be battling it out for the last 3 spots. Again, first place is going to pay $800 to win. Second place $200. Third place is $50. Not too shabby, and that may just leave a mark. That's number 11X, Tony Miller out of Gloucester. May have a couple 11Xs running tonight. Number 327 taking a heck of a hit in the side. That was Carter Smith out of Patriot. And my goodness gracious, we got a lot of smoke and steam percolating out of these vehicles now. The number 4X is the culprit this time. That's Troy Hayden out of Chrisney, Indiana. Hold him up, hold him up, hold him up. Secured. We're ready to turn him loose and let him go yet once again. Action is back underway. The number 43 blasting down through here at a fairly high rate of speed. That's Jason Collins out of Hicksville, Ohio. Over there's the number 11X, and my goodness, the 11X on that side is Tony Miller out of Gloucester. Got another 11X over there. We got 2 of them. The other one's Anthony Long, who's currently at the far end of the track right now. The number 98, Kenneth Klaus Jr. out of Millfield. A little bit of running room is going to be the number 327. That's Carter Smith out of Patriot. And doggone it, looks like the number 4B has had some technical issues. Brian Gould out of Guysville's out of commission, and he has removed himself from the action. I believe also right now that's the 176 trying to get moved around. The 17G, that's Terry Gilkey out of Athens, trying to get moved on. The 327 still running very strong with a lot of room out there is Carter Smith out of Patriot. He's going to take advantage of it as he goes after the number 11X. And that particular 11X is Anthony Long, who's now down in the corner. Number 43 appears to be out of commission right now as he removes his number from the door post, and it sounds like the 17G definitely getting a bit on the tired side. Not a whole lot of movement. He's got the hammer down and just not able to do a whole lot. Oh my goodness, again the 327, Carter Smith utilizing a lot of that room that he's got down there to go back to back. getting them hammered down in the corner. And look at all the smoke coming off of the number 11X. And the smoke continues to belch out of the corner down here. We do have a lot of smoke really coming out of Anthony Long's machine. And it's really starting to come out at a high rate of speed. We're going to have to keep an eye. There she goes. We do have us a fire. And let them go. Get the action back underway. And right now, the other 11X is hammering his way through. That's Tony Miller out of Gloucester, spinning a number 98 around. That was Kenneth Klaus out of Millfield was in his way. And a swing and a miss between those two drivers. Let's go line up and try this yet one more time. That's Carter Smith, I believe, in the 327. He's here out of Patriot. He's sitting there trying to find his lineup. He's going to take a shot in the side. Not sounding too daggone good for the number 98. Kenneth Klaus Jr. out of Millfield started to have a snap, crackle, and pop going on, and his buzz bomb down there at the end, and daggone it. Now I think we are down to potentially just 3 running. I only see movement out of 1. We got 1 on the timer in front of Jeffrey over there, and I think that. And we got 2 running, 1 on the clock, I believe. All right, the number 11X, Tony Miller out of Gloucester, is in the money. The number 327, Carter Smith out of Patriot. And it looks like we do have one more that just got refired. Oh my goodness, that was a good nose-to-nose shot. And it looks like third place has been decided. That's Terry Gilkey out of Athens, Ohio in the 17G. He's over on the other side, nosed into one of the referees over toward the main grandstand area. But third place again, Terry Gilkey. Now it's going to be a fight between the 11X of Tony Miller and the number 327 of Carter Smith. These two guys try to get unwedged right now. There, the 11X has got himself pulled away. Doesn't look like the 327's got a whole lot of control of the steering mechanism in his vehicle. He's turning the wheel, but it doesn't look like it's controlling a whole lot. I think he's trying his best. But Carter Smith just doesn't have a whole lot going on. Something's definitely got a little bit of wear and tear. I think some of the shims might have come loose or something. Definitely not like factory new. Right now it's a battle between first and second place. Quite a big spread money-wise. First place again is going to be $800. Second place $200. So going to see who's got who. The 327 looking down, having some technical issue, and doggone it, there it is. 327 is going to settle for second place, which means your number 1 is going to be the 11X of Tony Miller. So again, first place, Tony Miller out of Gloucester, sponsored by H&H Small Engines. Excuse me, H&H Miller Small Engines. Second place is going to be the number 327 Carter Smith out of Patriot. And third place is the 17G Terry Gilkey out of Athens. So congratulations to all those drivers. Again, we do have to get your vehicles. Okay, that's going to be John Collins in the number 42. He's here out of Hicksville, Ohio, sponsored by Collins Service. Out of Raymond, Ohio, is going to be in the 211. I don't have the 286 on my list. Brandon Haller is in the 118 out of North Fairfield, Ohio. The 504, I believe. Zach Burton out of Wrigley, Kentucky. The number 11, Steve Neese out of Ottawa. The 8888, Joe Crow out of Ontario, Canada. And finally, that should be the AK-47 of Sean McClune. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let them go. And let's get the action underway here in the consolation event. Get these guys in here and get them registered for the feature. We got quite a few of them already splitting the difference, opening the middle of the track wide up. The number 286, Brian Schumann out of Carrollton. And the 211, Lonnie Hicks, is going to be coming down there blowing a donut and getting jockeyed into position. Number 42, John Collins, going to throw caution to the wind as he goes nose to nose with the 118 of Brandon Haller out of North Fairfield, Ohio. The 504, Zach Burton out of Wrigley, Kentucky. And that's a good reason to be on your toes there. And doggone it. Down, one of them is out of contention at this particular moment in time. That was a swing and a miss from the 8888. He's going to look at it at a little different spot. My goodness, the 118 of Brandon Haller. Fairfield's coming around. Now they're watching out for the driver's doors. Again, the driver's doors are one area that they do need to watch out. That is the safety zone that these drivers have. So again, it was brought up in a meeting. Watch the driver's doors. Do not make contact with the driver's door. If it's aggressive contact, they're definitely trying to do some damage, then they've got problems and probably will be thrown out immediately. Two 11s coming down and spinning around at a fairly fast clip. That's Lonnie Hicks out of Raymond. Ends up into the side. I believe that was the 88 down at the far end. Something's definitely happened to that. But Joe Crow out of Ontario, Canada, definitely having a rough way to go. Not a whole lot sitting there, but the 286, Brian Schumann out of Carrollton, having a rough way to go, and he's taking another hit from the 211 of Lonnie Hicks out of Raymond. Also the number 11 of Steve Neese out of Ottawa. Kentucky. Pretty strong down in the middle of the track. He's side by side with the 2.86 of Brian Schumann out of Carrollton. There comes the 2.11. Lonnie Hicks out of Raymond as he goes back to back with the number 11 of Steve Neese out of Ottawa. Brandon Haller out of North Fairfield, Ohio. And everybody kind of migrates over to the other end. Looks like we still have two more vehicles that need to get eliminated before we get them moved on. And we are going to be taking 4 out of this to the feature. Zach Burton out of Wrigley, Kentucky, track 7. Next to the number 11 of Steve Neese out of Ottawa. You guys have a little bit of a shoving match. Referees down to try to break it up a little bit, but these two might be really pulled in together pretty tight. There we go. We got a little bit of a bump and grind. Both of these guys doing a little something out there. Pushing that. My goodness, they're going to be pushing that through. That's the 2.11 of Lonnie Hicks. Kyle driving his way through. The AK-47, Sean McClune out of Kentucky. I'll tell you what, that number 11, taking no prisoners. And Steve Neese out of Ottawa. He's got the hammer down and he's just glancing all the blows he can off about any and every vehicle that might happen to get in his way. Some that I think are trying to stay out of his way, but he's putting some damage on in that number 11 vehicle. Good solid hit. Number 504 of Zach Burton out of Wrigley, Kentucky, kind of got pushed around. My goodness, what a wild hit out of Brian Schumann in the 286. Brian did a lot of damage to his vehicle. Hold him up, hold him up. Hold him up. Ready to turn him loose and let him go. Action is back underway. And that number 11 is sounding good, to say the least. Vehicles out on the track. The top 4 are going to the feature. So one more is going to have to be eliminated. And we've got the 2-1-1 on the timer. That's Lonnie Hicks out of Raymond. Okay, hold them up there, drivers. Let's hold them up. Hold them up. Hold them up. I do believe the time has run out. So we are down. And I see the 118 is going to be going to the feature. That's Brandon Haller out of North Fairfield, Ohio. The number 11, Steve Neese out of Ottawa, sponsored by Meyer Riverview. Can you read me the number off of that one down at the far end? That's number 504, Zach Burton out of Wrigley, Kentucky. AK-47, Sean McClume out of Nicholsville. The number 714, Jeremy Von Wormer out of Findlay. Following him is going to be the 313 of Josh Kuntz out of New Paris. And finally the 921, Chris Parker out of West Liberty. His sponsor is Spring Hills Auto. The 313 you can see is sponsored by Wallace Heating and Air out of New Paris. So that's going to be the three that we have. Those guys are going to get ready to roll here in just a few moments as soon as the track is secured. Starting with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let them go. And the action is now underway on the stock class. And what you'll probably notice is the way that these things crunch up a slight bit different than the vehicles that have been out here. The number 921, Chris Parker's on the move. It sounds like the number 313, Josh Kuntz's machine's got a little bit on the quiet side. Already running a little bit rough, and that's probably not going to help matters much either as he takes a shot in the nose. And I do believe there's some life under the hood of the 313. .714 is on the move. Jeremy Van Wormer out of Findlay. Using the nose of the 714, that was Jeremy Van Wormer out of Findlay. Uh-oh, that's going to leave a mark right there. You got him up on the top. I think we got him stacked up 3 deep. Nope. Luckily, the 921, Chris Parker, was able to pull his out. 714's not doing so well. He's having a little bit of technical difficulty, and I think with a little bit of help and quite a good hit from the 921, Chris Parker was able to unwedge him off the number 313. So all three vehicles still running strong. Looks like a 714 had a little bit of a problem trying to find her to get her in gear, but he's got her going and back in the action. 714 may have just a little bit of problem because he's got that rear bumper dragging around. Hopefully that thing won't bend up and kind of act like a boat anchor. We may, if nothing else, find her on the ground as it's starting to fold in and around. And there is a broadside hit. Sound like a 313 is momentarily stalled out. Josh Kuntz still trying to refire his vehicle. That's going to leave a mark on the 714. Jeremy Van Wormer taking a hit and looks like he just lost the radiator. There is a lot of steam coming out. Now there's steam coming out of two of them. Why? Nose to nose hit. Radiator with not a lot of protection, and now we've got a couple vehicles getting hot. Mighty daggone quick. We'll see how long they last. Not sure if the 313's lost his yet. This isn't going to help matters much. Oh my goodness, 714 doesn't want to be left out. Jeremy Van Wormer out of Findlay comes down there and helps push Chris Parker in the 921 a little bit further and further up into that corner. 313, Josh Kuntz putting a little bit of space in between him and the 714 follows closely thereafter. And I think these guys may just turn their attention upon one another, because it looks like Chris Parker in the 921's got plenty of problems of his own down in the corner. Car is starting to get pretty warm over there. We're going to have to keep a close eye on that as more and more smoke starts belching out, but he looks like they turned him off just in the nick of time. It's mighty daggone warm inside the number 921. Chris Parker drove a fine heat. This looked like he had a little problems down in the corner once he got pushed in there with the help of the other two drivers. And nothing to be ashamed of. Looks like he's still got plenty left of his automobile. A few little dents to hammer out and she'll be as good as new. We do have the 313 of Josh Kuntz. He's following around Jeremy Van Wormer in the 714. Jeremy stalled out just for a slight bit, but he's got her going once again. And they got some running room this time. And they're packing the 10 down at the far end of the track. And I think that just knocked the life out of the 714. And with every hit, it seems like it's taking just a little bit longer to refire that. The good news is Jeremy Van Wormer has 714 refired. Josh Kuntz has a few other ideas up his sleeve. He's going to go out there and just hammer away nose to nose with the 313. Now he's got some problems. It looks like their bumpers are momentarily locked on one another. Not a good thing. We'll see how this plays out. And there they got a little bit of room in between them. I think they're going to be able to do something as these guys work it out. And they got her worked. And there's a hush falling over the crowd. But the 313, Josh Kuntz is able to keep her going. And the 714, Jeremy Van Wormer out of Findlay gets his refired. He got mighty close to the driver's door. The referee is telling him to keep a close eye. But that didn't last too long. Both of them stalled out like they were. Now here is a lot of running room that these two have. That's going to make a mark. Got a little bit of flamage coming out of the exhaust pipe. Nothing to be concerned about. A little unburnt fuel reigniting. Josh is deciding he's wanting to work a little bit more. Looks like the red flags are flying. I think right there means that the 714 must have waved him off, and not quite sure. Okay, it looks like the checkered flag is heading over toward the number 313, Josh Kuntz, out of New Paris, Ohio, sponsored by Wallace Heating and Cooling, is the champion of the stock heat. Okay, Jim Hostler out of Columbus Grove, Ohio is the first one on the track in the number 48. Following him is going to be the number 15, James Reese out of Raymond, sponsored by Gibson's Repair. Jimmy Bateman's in the 111 out of Millfield. Following him is going to be the 744 of Travis Nichols out of Kenton. I believe that's the number 63, Mike Frederick out of Muncie, Indiana. Sponsored by Russell Racing. The number 58, Dustin Kohlreiser out of Wapakoneta, Ohio. Sponsored by Kohlreiser Masonry. Looks like the number 40 or 4U, Jeremy Robinson out of, can't quite tell where he's out of, Codville. Best I can tell, the T or this number R, Josh Regal out of Arlington, Ohio, sponsored by DNR Motorsport. Number 22, Chad Kautner out of Wapakoneta. Following him is the number 51X. That's Todd Myers out of Springfield, the 691. Is Bob Smith out of Kenton. The 999, John Bennett III, also out of Kenton. The 222, Randy Smirgy out of Wapakoneta, sponsored by J&L Power Equipment. 7778 is Ed Decker out of Pandora. And finally, flags are flying. We're ready to give them a countdown, starting with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let them go, and the action is now underway in the truck event. The number 4U, Jeremy Robinson, trying to make his way off of the line, which he finally does in the Shark Machine. The number 76, Travis Gibson out of Raymond. He is out on the track, snuck in, didn't quite see him out there. Number 15, James Reese, also out of Raymond, takes a hit in the nose from the 111 of Jimmy Bateman out of Millfield. And that is the 8819 of Billy Loudon Jr. out of Mogador. Already a lot of steam rolling out of the number R. Josh Regal out of Arlington, Ohio. And that little bit of water on the track definitely gave a lot more mud. They're flying around here. the number 63, Mike Frederick, out of Muncie, Indiana. Oh, he's got her fired up and going right along. Uh-oh, that's not looking so hot. I think he's a done deal. He's got nowhere to go. Doggone it. Hold him up, hold him up, hold him up. Hold him up, drivers. Let's hold him up out there. Oh, turn him loose and let him go. Get the action back underway here in the truck class. And the mud is just flying. Down at the far end, we did have one of the trucks kind of bounce out. That didn't set too well, but looks like the number R, Josh Regal out of Arlington, Ohio. He's got a lot of steam coming out of that. We're going to have to keep a close eye on the number R truck. I'm telling you, I think that thing has the potential. And maybe that is just steam tonight on this very cold night. Kind of hard to tell sometimes. That's the other thing you got to watch here, folks, especially if you're close to the track. And I don't think that's looking too good for one of the pickup trucks that just got set up on top of the concrete barricade. And there goes the smoke just bellowing off of one of those vehicles. We got two of them up on the barricades right now, and they are falling quickly. Doggone it. That might be something to keep an eye on. Again, that letter R. Looks like the transmission might be starting to slip just a tad. We do have the number 15, James Reese out of Raymond, down to pulling a breakaway. Got a little bit of time and opportunity. Number 63, Mike Frederick out of Muncie, Indiana, in that red, white, and blue machine. He's got a whole lot of room right now, and actually, these trucks have really opened up pretty quick like. I think what we're going to be doing up on the trucks big trucks are going to pay $600 for first, $200 for second, and third place is $100. Right now I see movement from about 5 vehicles. Looks like we may have one on the timer. He's got her fired up. That didn't take too long. And that is Josh Regal out of Arlington. He's kind of over there in a pretty bad predicament. And behind him is the number 22. That's Chad Cutner out of Walpole. Chad's going down there. Got a lot of sparks a-flying. Number 63, Mike Frederick out of Muncie, Indiana, is spinning his machine around. Going to go all the way down to the other end. And boy, that sure looks like almost like a diesel engine when she was firing up. And he's got it going, and the flames are dancing around. So we are down to 6 vehicles left. Doggone it, time has expired. Now again, we are going to be running the top three vehicles are going to be in the cash money. 600 for first, 200 for second, and 100 for third. Travis Gibson out of Raymond. Then the number 76. And he's got the Kirby's machine. Trying to nose his way into the number 22. That's Chad Cotner out of Wapakoneta. I believe there is some movement just out of about 5 vehicles. Again, only 3 of those are going to be money-making spots. Like a number 15, James Reese has a lot of running room, and he's going to go back-to-back with the number 63 of Mike Frederick. Mike's here out of Muncie, Indiana. And these trucks are really starting to steam and get a little bit on the warm side. Even as chilly as it is now, the number 22 got a lot of sparks coming out from Chad Cotner's pick 'em up truck. See a lot of sparks just falling or showering the track from underneath it. Now midpoint, I believe that's an old Chevrolet, best I can tell. The 22. Nope, he's got her going once again. 22's back underway, and he does have his vehicle fired up. Getting a lot of sparks coming off from underneath. The number 22 still, Chad Cotner, still running strong. That was a wild ride all the way down to the far end of the track. That was Travis Gibson out of Raymond. In that Kirby's Auto Parts sponsored truck. Currently sitting side by side in the number 15, James Reese. Looking around again, 5 vehicles left. 3 of them will be guaranteed money this evening. Let's see which one has the most lasting power. And the number 15, James Reese out of Raymond's on the timer. Referee's keeping a close eye. Looks like some of these trucks definitely starting to tire out fairly quickly. Nope. Number 15's up and running. The 691 of Bob Smith out of Kenton down at the far end, and he's definitely slowing up. That thing's starting to run on the slow side. I think that was the first chance that I got that had to get a good look at his number out there. But again, that was Bob Smith, who's sponsored by his family and friends. He's here running out of Kenton tonight. He's getting a 691 turned around, but definitely just not quite so fast because he lost one of the passenger side rear tires. Now we are down to 4 vehicles left. 4 of them left, as one of them would be Bob Smith. Taking himself out of contention. Number 22 is going back. Hold them up, hold them up, hold them up. Don't know what's going on. Loose and let them go. Number 22 is on the move right away. That's Chad Cotner. He's back there going into the number 15. That's James Reese. And I believe the time's clicking by. The referee's keeping a very close eye on the pickup that's up on there. I believe that's the number 63. And a hush falls over the crowd as both of the trucks die out. Number 22 is back starting already. He's going after the number 15. Uh-oh, that's waving it off. There's your champion right there. The number 22 looks to be the one they're going out after. And that is going to be Chris Cotner out of Wapakoneta, taking the checkered flag in first place. Second place is going to be the number 15. That's James Reese out of Raymond, sponsored by Gibson's Repair. And third place, I believe, is the number 63. Is that correct, Mike Frederick? Looks like the number 815 is the first one out. That's Sean Miller out of London. Following him is going to be the 115 of Ryan Haller out of North Fairfield, Ohio. 000 Tyler Throwbridge out of Arlington, Indiana. And finally, and there's Terry Trimmer out of St. Paris, Ohio in the number 429. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let them go. And the outlaw class is underway. Pretty much this was you bring it, you run it. First place is $300, second place $200, and third place is $100. So again, we do have 4 places to pay. You may notice a slight difference in the sound of these vehicles once they do start hitting. They are going to be probably very solid sounding, to say the least. And you're probably going to notice that there's not a whole lot of denting and damaging going on as compared to some of the other classes. A lot more stock. You can see they're a lot more rigid when they bounce down the track, such as the 815 of Sean Miller out of London. Right now, the 000 has taken himself out. Tyler Crowbridge out of Arlington, Indiana, is down there in the orange vehicle in the corner. It looked like he was having some problems with that even as it came on the track. Terry Trimmer in the 429, skirting him around. The 815 of Sean Miller out of London is going to flip around on the 115. That's Ryan Haller out of North Fairfield, Ohio. All 3 vehicles kind of down in one particular spot. And the 815, they're back to back right now, and you can see not a whole lot gave when either one of those drivers went down, and doggone it, looks like the 115's having some technical problems. He got up on top of that concrete barrier and just not having a whole lot of luck. I believe we may just be down to almost 2 cars. Can't be a whole lot of time left on the clock. And the time has run out on the 115, so there's your third place finisher. That's Ryan Haller in the 115. Now it's down between 1 and 2, first place and second place. Referee's trying to get them split up, get a little bit of distance in between them, let them battle it out, and the wide open. Hold them up, got the red flags a flying. Let's hold them up there 1 second. turn them loose and let them go back to back yet once again. And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to hurt, and I'm sure they're going to feel that in their necks tomorrow. Because as you can see, neither vehicle really gave a whole lot. We are down to just 2 of them, and once again, all of that energy is transferred into the seats and eventually to the driver's back and necks, if you can see them snapping around. And again, that has a very distinctive sound to these Outlaw cars that are completely and totally welded up. Looks like he's taking the can opener style hit. Going to use the nose of that thing into the side of the 429. Terry Trimmer on the receiving end of a hit from Sean Miller. And that number 815. Turn around and try it out nose to nose. Well, it looks like the referee is trying to persuade him to get a little bit of distance and between the 2 of them. And that's a good hit from the 815 of Sean Miller out of London. There we go. That looked like something might have had a little bit of bendage or movement on the 429. Can't quite tell. Of course, it may have been an optical illusion the way things popped around in there. Starting to get a lot of smoke out from underneath the 815. And looks like the number 429, Terry Trimmers, had stalled out. And he's just taking another hit. And that's going to be it. Right there's your winner. Hold him up there, driver. The number 1 driver in the outlaw class is going to be Sean Miller in the number 815. Second place, Terry Trimmer in the 429. And third place is Ryan Haller in the 115. Now we've got a lot of work to do. The referees are ready, and we're ready to give them a countdown. You ready on the other side over there? Okay, the the green flags are in the air. Drivers and referees are ready, so let's give them a countdown, starting with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let them go, and the action is underway here at the feature event now. Granted, first place tonight, $11,000 is on the line. 11 grand. Looks like the Smash It vehicles down at the far end already jockeying around for position. Must be pretty nice to hop in that thing and just have a vehicle be already built. Vern Heights out of Tiffin is in the Smash It vehicle. And again, a big congratulations to Len Lewis, driver of number 13. He got the Mad Dog Award of the night. He drove the wheels off of that number 13. Did a real fine job, and walked away with $1,000 for the fine job that he did. Right now, things are going a little bit as expected right now. So far, I don't believe that we have any vehicles that are out of the count yet. The white Smash It vehicle is currently out, getting jockeyed around. He's gonna put the hammer down and make his way down to the far end. Looks like that Smash It vehicle is built pretty daggone well. Something definitely to be proud of. Game going on right now. These guys know exactly what's on the line. You definitely want to eliminate your opponent. However, you want to kind of play it very, very smart. Do the right thing at the right time and in good time. So again, there is a lot going on in the minds of these drivers. Again, first place, $11,000. Number 227, Mike Tosco's over on this end. Next to him, it looks like the number 89. That's Tony Dunn out of Franklin, Indiana. the thunderous roar of these metal beasts are deafening up here. City of Bell Fountain enjoying the sound of these fellows battling it out for the $11,000 first place prize. A lot of very good sounding engines tonight. Again, the sound of summer is upon us. Though it may not feel so much like summer tonight, we will be back. Our Smash It Demolition Derby vehicle still very much in the mix of things. That's Vern Heights out of Tiffin, trying to motor his way through, push it through, and he's augured into the side. He's right now next to the 15, which is driven tonight by, I don't have the 15, I think that's Chad Cole. Chucko in the 484. He's here out of Milford Center, Ohio. He's down there at the number 11. Number 11, that's another Ziz motor that's in this particular derby tonight. If anybody happens to be down at the trailer and has the consolation information, we don't have quite a few vehicles on the feature list. If we could get those brought up, please. Burton is in the 504. He's here out of Wrigley, Kentucky. The mayhem still going on down at the other end. The 225 of Bub Hoffman out of Richwood sitting side by side with the number 11 automobile. Pushing his way through, going back into the nose of Chucko. The 44 running strong. That's Todd Hollinger. Todd's here out of Bell Fountain, sponsored by Bell Fountain Steel. Eric Bloom out of Menominee, Michigan. He's in the number 12 up on the other side. Next to him is the number 89, Tony Dunn out of Franklin, Indiana. Doing a very respectable job tonight. Uh-oh! I don't think think that's what the... Looks like we have quite a few parts shedding out there already on the track. Referee's keeping a close eye on everything that's going on. Got the lights shining out there. I believe the light shining. They went over this in the driver's meeting. I didn't catch all that, but that's an attention getter. Pretty much stating that you need to pick up the pace just a little bit. Gaze out over this crowd of slightly used automobiles. One thing I notice is that it appears all of them are still moving out there, at least some capacity or another. Even the Smash It machine is going back into number 104. The 227 of Mike Tosco. He's out there mixing it up with the 12E at this particular moment. That's Eric Bloom out of Menominee, Michigan. The Smash It vehicle being piloted today by Vern Heights out of Tiffin. Slightly modified from the condition it was in just a few moments ago. He's currently nose to nose with Seth Gibson in the 218X. In behind him, I believe that is the 504. That's Zach Burton out of Wrigley, Kentucky. looks like things are going downhill for the 1104. Tony Long out of Richwood. Got some tires going flat and a few technical difficulties with that. The main thing is he's still able to keep her moving up and down the track, and that is a very good thing. Moving up and down the track, the Smash It machine piloted by Vern Height. Looks like he's having some problems with the tie rod area of that, but he's keeping her trucking up and down. Has lasted pretty well thus far. In comes the 218X of Seth Gibson. He's followed very closely by the number AK-47. Out of the way just in the nick of time, but that is Sean McCullum out of Nicholsville, Kentucky. Still have a very loud track, as most of these vehicles are still running and running strong tonight. Again, this is for all the marbles, all the bragging rights, and all of those dollar bills. 11,000 of them to be exact. 11,000 of them to take home, lay them out, do whatever you think with it. But this is a very good time to be taking the $11,000 first place prize. Hopefully, you can see victorious here. We can see we've got quite a few cars. All of them actually still running. I see the 104 looks like he's on the clock trying to refire. But aside from that, and the number 216 of Bub Melman out of Napoleon. The only two vehicles currently that are out of contention, it seems, as of right now. Even the Smash It white car is still running strong. He just got her fired up, taking a little lick from the 218X of Seth Gibson. The 89, Tony Dunn out of Franklin, Indiana. Going around the corner, he lined up with the F69 of Willard Flock out of Lithopolis. 16 is having some technical problems. I haven't seen a lot of movement out of Melvin's vehicle here lately. Really coming up in the air on the Smash It machine. Thing is, it is still running. We'll see how long Vern Height out of Tiffin to keep that vehicle going. The track we go. Way, this is the number 12E comes into the picture. That's Eric Bloom out of Menominee, Michigan. And we can see that a lot of these vehicles are definitely starting to get very, very warm in a big daggone hurry. Chuck O is going nose to nose. Can't even really tell the other number is on that, but Chuck O's 484 blowing a lot of smoke from the rear of that machine. So far, so good. He is managing to keep her moving. Number 17. That's Paul Sweat out of Lodi, Wisconsin. He's here with the number 79 of Barry Clemens out of Wisconsin, and Brent and Barry Clemson, 34 and 79 respectively. Guys drove quite a long ways. We do want to thank them for at least getting qualified for the feature event tonight. We did have a few cars that were unable to return. Again, we do want to thank everybody that came out and participated. Made this such a spectacular event. Hold him up. Again, they need to hit to the referees a satisfaction, and that's what they had to stress to them that they needed to do. Out there, very important thing again. That much money is on the line. A lot of to follow, make sure that they hit and hit hard. Again, it was told in the driver's meeting, once you cross the line and come onto this track, all relationships and friendships end. Every man and every driver for himself. Number 34 backing up at a fairly high rate of speed. Brent Clemens out of Lodi, Wisconsin. Got the 79 of Barry Clemens out of Dane, Wisconsin, coming back in there themselves. Looking around to find one another. Also have the 8-9 automobile. That's out of Franklin, Indiana. That's Tony Dunn. We do have quite a wide variety. We've got Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky all represented here at this first stop, Cincinnati Demolition Derby 2010 event. Looks like the 225 almost went for a wild ride. That was Bub Hoffman getting his vehicle just a little bit out of the comfort zone. He was able to catch it just in the nick of time and get her back on all four wheels. Still have about 17 automobiles left running, 17 of them left running. Flack in the F69. He's currently backed up right next to the number 15. That's Chad Cole. Coming in the mix of things, going to be the AK-47 of Sean McCullum out of Nicholsville, Kentucky. the 1104 getting hit in the nose. That's Tony Long. Tony's having some problems. We can see his rear tires have gone flat. Not getting a whole lot of traction out there, not moving real fast, however. Still managing to keep her moving up and back. Got the number 11 over there. Also doing its thing out there. That's not. That's Steve Neese out of Ottawa in the number 11. Right in track central, right in the middle of all the goodies. Chad Cole unleashing the horses and letting them run just a bit. Number 44, Todd Hollander out of Bell Fountain, sponsored by Bell Fountain Steel. Same location. He's out there in the middle of the track, pushing his way around in the hammer from side to side. Right now, the number 89 is right in front of him. Dunn out of Franklin, Indiana. All these guys did a fantastic job getting their vehicles to this point. You can see they have built them very well. Testament to how well they are built, the fact that all of them are still running at this point in time. Just got about 4 of them that are not. Definitely got a lot of craftsmanship and pride went into these derby cars. They're getting ready so that they can get them to this point in time to have a chance and battle it out for that $11,000 grand prize. Looks like the 227 starting to definitely get hot. Mike Tosco's machine is sponsored by Kirby Auto Parts, and he's here out of Richwood. AK-47. John McCullum out of Nicholsville, Kentucky. A lot of good drivers, a lot of good cars out here battling it out. It's going to be exciting to see which one of them walks away with the $11,000 first place prize. That number 11, once again, it has the Ziz motor down inside of it. And that's Steve Neese out of Ottawa. And got a very distinctive sound to it. And a lot, I do mean a lot of power. It sounds like under the hood. When he wants it, it's there. Some of these people do just a little bit more to get the cars ready to take them to demolition derbies. Putting one of them Ziz motors down in there really seems to help out quite a bit. Might leave a mark. The 1104 coming down the track. Man, was he traveling pretty good in a short period of time. That was Tony Long out of Middletown. Excuse me, Tony Long out of Richwood. Going into the side of the number 11 of Steve Neese out of Ottawa. Steve had his vehicle kind of turned up the wrong side. What the number 12E wants. luckily, he was able to get out of there just in the nick of time. That was Eric Blum out of Menominee, Michigan. He's getting a little help being pushed up there. Luckily, they didn't get up any further than they did. Obviously, again, safety, safety, safety is the reason that we try not to let them there so that they can put stuff back into the crowd and or possibly have the vehicles themselves have the same problem. Comes the AK-47 right down the pike. Still doing some pretty hard hitting out there. That was Sean McCullum out of Nicholsville, Kentucky. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you, a lot of these cars still running very, very, very strong. Looks like the number 89 has had some problems. Not exactly sure what happened, but it's sitting out there with the flag removed. Tony Dunn is out of here from Franklin, Indiana. Again, we do appreciate him coming all that way and driving in the Derby today. Willard Flack in the F69 out of Lysopolis. He's going to go back-to-back with the 11.04 of Tony Long out of Ridgewood. Hanging around right there in track central is Brent Clemens, the number 34 out of Lodi, Wisconsin. Chasing him down at the 218X. Seth Gibson. The other side there, 484, that's Chucko. Chucko making a glancing blow off of Seth Gibson. And finally coming the rest of the side of Steve Neese out of Ottawa in that number 11 automobile. Like Todd Hollinger's down there in the very end of that number 44. Not quite sure if he lost reverse, but looks like he's not able to bring his vehicle much out of that corner. Right in front of him, I believe, is the number 79. Best I can tell, Barry Clemens out of Dane, Wisconsin. Trying to get him out of the way. Cole, the number 15. My goodness, they had one heck of a hit down there. That was a long distance delivery. Can't quite tell the number on that. And he's got the hammer down, the number 79 down in the corner. Looks like time ran out from him. He was here from Dane, Wisconsin. Also the number 44 of Todd Hollinger's in the same predicament. Both of them counted out. They got stuck down in the corner and just not a whole lot left.